concentrating on the front largely. So I'm just going to get the block out for the front, and I'm going to mark up, just as it stands, what this block looks like when we trace it off. Okay, so I'm not going to do it in pencil, I'm going to do it in something that you'll be able to see more easily. But don't forget, you're working in a nice fine pencil. Oh, I'm missing a corner off my block. That's not good. So I'm marking around the up the centre front. I'm going to make sure I've got the bust line marked on there. I've come round and I've marked on the ends of the dart. I'm going to mark on the sleeve notches, even though we're not setting a sleeve in or even thinking about sleeve pattern at the moment, but it's a very good habit to get into. Coming further around, nearly all the way around, marking that bottom dart, or the waist dart should I say, waist to bust dart. I'm always calling it a bottom dart, it's nothing to do with the bottom. There we have it. So I'm going to draw in the darts for you to see. Right then, if we think about this pattern as it stands, what you would get if you made this up, just as it is you'd get bodice with a round neck, quite a wide sleeve, a bit wobbly. It would have a dart here, a dart here, a dart here, and a dart here. I never want to see anything that you hand in ever given to me like that. You only really see that sort of fit, or that sort of use of dart, should I say, on things like the BHS range of inexpensive workwear. I mean, it's just unacceptable stylistically as far as I'm concerned. So we're looking at making dart configurations that are more aesthetically pleasing, that look like they've been considered, that look like they've been designed. So although this will make something that fits quite nicely, is dull beyond belief. First exercises we're going to do are all to do with moving darts so that they are more attractive. There are two ways you can do this. You can pivot the dart, or you can use a slash method. I'm going to show you both. Everything I do, I'm going to show you in both the pivot method and the slash method. People's heads work in different ways. Some people find the pivot really easy. For some people it just looks like sleight of hand and it's no use to them at all. So we're going to take this and we're going to make the dart configuration a little bit more interesting. So I believe that on your brief you have, as one of your first things that you have to do, is you have to move this shoulder dart into the armhole. So what we'll be aiming at is, it's always good to know what you're aiming at. You're going to be aiming at a dart configuration that is more, so you still have this sort of quite nice fit of the bodice. You will still have your bust to waist darts, but your other dart will run from here to here. That's what we're going to do. So I'm going to trace around this again and we will move the darts. I'm going to start by showing you the slashing method. Oh, that's going to really annoy me that that corner's missing. But yes, I'm going around and marking the dart on. And mark the armhole. balance marks because it's a good habit to get into. I'm going to be marking the waist to bust dart, and I'm going to mark the end of the shoulder dart, the bust point, and the end of the waist dart. Now, marking the bust point is really, really important. So you'll note that the darts don't come to the bust point. So any darts that you make are not going to come to the bust point. However, all the manipulations happen from the bust point. So let me explain that more fully as we go. Put the darts in, really. The very, very first thing you have to mark on this pattern to be able to do that manipulation is you need to mark where your new dart is going to be. So the first thing you do is mark the new dart position. And I've said on the brief that it needs to go into the armhole. So it could go here, it could go here. So I'm leaving that to you as to what sort of angle you're going to put your dart. I mean, darts just need to go out through the edge somewhere. We know they're always going to end in the vicinity of the bust, but they can come here, they can go out through the neck, they can come anywhere. So you can kind of make like a sun ray out from the bust point, and any of those lines could become a dart position. Let's hope that hasn't confused me. So my new dart position is going to be here. Let me do that in a colour so that you can see what I'm up to. So that's going to be my new dart position. So to achieve that new dart, I have to close this dart. And as I've said, I'm going to do this by the slashing method. So I'm just going to cut that, whoops, off, so I've got a piece of paper that's more easy to deal with. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the position of my new dart. So I'm cutting down that line right the way to the bust point. But we know that I want to get rid of this dart. So to achieve that, I'm now going to cut down one side of this dart all the way to the bust point. And here's where you have to hold your breath and hope that you haven't cut it in such a way that it's going to fall apart. No, hold your breath. Beautiful. So I've got that cut, I've got my new position, get that drawing out of the way, and I'm going to put just the table under it so you can see what happens. So we have the old dart, and I've cut down one side. We have the new dart position. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to close that dart. So I'm taking this edge of the dart and I'm swinging it over to the other edge of the dart, and that dart is gone. It's officially gone. And in the going of it, you can see that the dart has opened up here. That's the bit we're going to deal with next. I'm just going to slip some paper in behind it. There we go. And I'm going to take that into position. Now, from the discussion we've just had, from the information I've just given you, we know that that dart doesn't go all the way to the bust point. So we're going to take our trusty pattern master, and we're going to find the centre of this dart on the outside edge. And we're going to draw a line that runs all the way to the bust point, and we're going to drop back from the bust point by a centimetre, because we don't want that coming right to, and then we're going to draw from the outside edge to that new point and that is our dart moved. So we now have configuration of darts that will give us this design. One more thing we need to do is we need to create the edge that we need here. So you'll note on the block, this dart picks up. When it's sewn and pressed, it doesn't poke up. So we want this to have a shaped outside edge that makes it easy to be able to sew it, press it, and keep a clean line in the armhole. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this along its dart edge just to its new position, its point position, like so. I folded it upwards. I'm taking my pointy tracing wheel and I'm going to trace along the armhole. Take this away, or unfold it, should I say. And what we now have, because I can see the holes, is an outside edge that does that. And that is your first task that you have to complete on the brief. Your first of your requirements, that's that, done. I'm going to show you it via pivoting as well. So you should get exactly the same look and a dart in pretty much exactly the same place. So I'm going to get the block ready, but for this technique we are going to take the dart out as we go. Again, it's very, very important that you know where the new dart position is. It's one of the reasons my block's such a mess from doing this for years and years. So I've got one marked on here from previous, which is a dart that's going to run from here on the armhole. Now we only really need to know that position. We don't need to know the whole position. We just need to know where it's coming from. So I'm going in to do this, and I will use a colour. So I'm going to draw up the centre front. I'm going to draw around, be irritated by this missing corner. And I'm going to stop when I get to the first edge of that dart. I am going to put my finger in the bust point, the hole that's at the bust point, and I'm going to pivot that around until, whoops, the second side of the dart matches where the first side was. So let me show you that again. I've gone up, I've gone around, I've gone to the first position, the first notch position for the dart, and I've marked it. I've put my finger in at the bust point, not the end of the dart, and I'm swinging it around. And now I'm going to continue drawing around until I get to the new dart position. When I get to that position, I'm going to put this back in its original position. Oops, a bit wibbly. And then I'm going to carry on drawing around, but I'm carrying on drawing around from the new dart position. We still have our waist dart in the same place, so I'll just mark that as per usual. I'm going to mark the best bust point, and I'm going to mark the end of dart position for the waist bust dart. Here we go. I'll put the waist bust dart in so we're clear about where that is. So this is where we see the gap that was made. It was made when we closed the dart up and slashed to open in from the armhole. We've made it without the slashing in this particular instance. What happens next is exactly like we did before, which is we will find the centre mark for that dart. There. We are going to draw a line from there to the bust point. We are going to come back from the bust point by 1 centimetre. Now coming back from the bust point per centimetre gives you a very close fit. It varies on sizes. It's like the bigger the size, the further away from the bust point the dart would end. On something that's quite a close fit, it can be a centimetre, centimetre and a half. If you were to take your dart right to the bust point, you'd end up with a very pointy tit area, which, I don't know, at some point maybe what your intention is, but for this exercise, that isn't our intention. So I'm going to now join up that mark that was 1 centimetre away from the bust point with the gap that we created by pivoting the dart out. We have our new dart position. We're going to do exactly what we did before. But actually, let's do something different. Last time I folded it as if it was being pressed upwards. This time I'm folding it as if it was going to be pressed downwards. And we can see what difference that makes in the line that we get at the outside edge. So we're folding it, but we're only folding it as if it was being sewn up to our new bust point. We're going to run our tracing wheel around the edge. And now what we have as an edge is this. Okay, so the only difference between the one that I did slashing method and the one that I did pivoting, well, there's two differences actually. I've put that one a little bit higher, and because I assumed that the dart would be pressed upwards, I get that edge, downwards, I get this edge. And that is one way, as a pattern cutter, you get to dictate what happens when the garment gets made. So you need an understanding of the sewing. Okay, I'm going to be back in a minute with the next exercise.